So we kind of just come out of a really intense period. We had 3 circles that were kind of called all at the same time. I would have liked for there to be a little bit more pacing, but since we have this commitment that we are going to show up for circles, well, we did. And one of them in a school was really, really big. Some 67 people were named. And I think maybe 30, so we pre-circled maybe 40 of them or so. Some didn't want to be involved in the process. And some 30 came to the circle, and actually this afternoon we're meeting for the 4th circle meeting. So we've already had 3 sessions with them of 3 hours each. And then another really interesting circle within a governance group where there's been challenging dynamics and also felt sense of discrimination, and that's come to the surface. It's a topic that's been alive in Oroville for many years, but really came up very strongly. And then another circle, and what I find really interesting and yet to be expected is that when each of these circles were called, and as we were reaching out to people being named, that there's this resistance. There's this discomfort of why is a circle being called? This is not the appropriate process. It's too early. It's too soon. Why is that person being named there? They have no business in this. It's an internal affair. Why am I being named? I have nothing to do with this story. And so I find it fascinating how this kind of our human stuff comes up, and I find it incredibly touching. And I think when we had another big circle maybe 1.5 years ago, also about a school, a different school, one of the biggest pieces that I felt for me as a facilitator was that this process was creating community in a very selfish way, because I was getting to pre-circle all these people who maybe I know by name and I see them in the grocery store or on the road or something, but whom I don't actually know. We haven't actually sat down and had a real meaningful conversation. And so I found all of these pre-circles in the last few weeks also so touching. And despite the resistance to a circle being called and people being named, I find the circles actually so beautiful. The amount of willingness to show up, to be real, to be honest, to take self-responsibility, to dare. And I think even seeing value in this work and engaging in this way and dialoguing in this way. Yeah, in these 2 circles especially, there was so much honesty, just willingness to really show up and to show their pain and to show their even judgments of each other, and really where things felt very, at stake and horrible. And no, I'm so moved by what's happening. Also, what I find quite amazing is after, again, another big circle more than a year ago that involved a lot of decision-making bodies, and they were being named, and not only one person showed up. But I wouldn't say somebody who had too much structural power. So people really in structural power weren't showing up, and it was interesting to see how me, and I think also as a team a little bit, but especially I used that as a nice excuse to create divide between me and our work and kind of people in governance bodies, and I was also quite vocal about that and wrote a public letter about how I thought the way they were handling this case was out of integrity and not transparent and not, you know, based on community decision-making processing and stuff like this. And after realizing, like, oh shit, we need to walk towards these groups and not reinforce that we're better and we know, you know, we're more in integrity. And so then we really, as a project and as a group, had this commitment to walk towards and to really see how we can collaborate and work together, because of course we need to, you know, have them on our side and us on their side, and not, you know, not even to have sides, to be one collective. And so I find it incredibly touching that a year later, or whatever it is, I don't remember exactly chronologically, but that a year later, you know, one governance group calls a circle regarding something very heated in another governance group, and that after the initial, you know, what I'm calling resistance, showing up and actually really dialoguing was so beautiful. There's several times where I kind of had to pinch myself and say, is this really happening? Is this circle really happening in this with this group of people? So yeah, very, very touching.